This is the AB4WS radio show. Every week, bringing you the exciting amateur radio news and information happening in the greater Cincinnati, Ohio, Kentucky, and Indiana areas.
The AB4WS radio show can be found on the Apple Podcast app or your favorite podcast application. And now also available on the AB4WS radio show YouTube channel. Last week was the 24th anniversary of the terrorist attack at the World Trade Center, which resulted in the deaths of about 2,800 people. And a couple of great nets that I regularly check into memorialized this anniversary on September 11th by asking each check-in to talk about where they were when they heard about the Trade Center disaster. The first was the Digital Radio Enthusiast Net, held every weekday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern Time on D-Star Reflector REF035 Charlie. This is a great net with lots of regular check-ins from around the world, with a different net control each day of the week. On September 11th, the net control was WA7FVQ Jim, who is the Thursday morning net control, who asked the question of those who checked in. The other net is the Kentucky D-Star net, Reflector REF056 Bravo net, held every Thursday evening at 7 p.m. Eastern Time on REF056 Bravo. Larry NN4H in Nancy, Kentucky is the net control, and on 9/11 he also asked the question of those who checked into the net. This was really a great way to memorialize and understand the significance of this event in history. For myself, I will never forget that day. I was at the Federal Law Enforcement Training Academy in Glencoe, Georgia, in a computer forensics class with federal law enforcement investigators from several different federal agencies. The internet in 2001 was not what it is today, and we had no TV in the classroom, and when news of what was happening came in, we all were searching for streams of news information. Everyone else had went to national news sites, which were overloaded and crashing, but I went to local Cincinnati news media stream and ended up being the only one that would stay up, so everyone in the class was around my computer watching the events unfold. I'll never forget one friend who was a Secret Service agent assigned to the New York City Secret Service office, which was located in the World Trade Center complex, but not one of the towers struck directly by the planes. He spent several hours on the phone trying to get through to check on his co-workers and finally was able to learn that they were all safe hours later. The facility is an old World War II era Air Force base, and we were on lockdown for a few days until things could be sorted out. I think these type of nets always add value to our amateur radio communications and help us all connect and share information. Once again, the Kentucky Multi-Mode Digital Voice Net will be activated again on September 25th, 2025 at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. This net will replace the Kentucky D-Star net, REF056 Bravo net, and will be held on the multi-mode reflector of XLX 721 server. Larry NN4H will be the net control, and Ray KY4RW, who is the owner and facilitator of the REF56 and XLX 721 reflector systems. So at 7 p.m. on September 25th, tune into XLX 721 reflector and check into the net. For D-Star, connect to DCS 721 Alpha. For DMR, use Brandmeister Talk Group 3121232. For C4FM, connect to YSF reflector 51149. And on Echolink, connect to KY4RW-L or Echolink node number 656692. Everyone checking in on their various modes will be able to hear and understand others checking into the net via their various modes. This is also a great tool in the amateur radio toolbox and is not just available during this particular net time, but available anytime to connect with your friends who may use other modes than what you use. So check it out. And check into the net on September 25th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Congratulations to Ken Shepard, KR4BMB, who upgraded to Extra Class license at the NKARC Amateur Radio Exam Session. Check out Ken's posting on the NKARC Groups.io page on his suggestions on helping you study for the upgraded license classes. After 15 years of organizing the Brunch Bunch activities, Bruce, N8BV, is hanging up his hat and passing over the lead to George, N3VQW, who will attempt to fill Bruce's shoes. Thanks to Bruce for all his years of dedicated work and to George for taking over the helm. On September 20th at 10 a.m., the Bullet Amateur Radio Society will be holding a Parks on the Air get-together at the Clark State Forest, Poda Park, US 4191. They'll have talking on 147.52 simplex frequency. For more information, email kc3wnx@arrl.net. Now through September 25th, 18 clubs will be activating the Erie Canal for Parks on the Air, celebrating Erie Canal's 200th anniversary. These clubs and many more individuals are planning Parks on the Air or POTA activations within the Erie Canal National Heritage Corridor, US 6532, and possibly the Empire State Trail, US 8098, making many of them a twofer. The Heritage Corridor is a large area that also includes Cayuga and Seneca Lakes and even north of Albany. So regardless of your location in the state, there's a lot of eligible locations and possible twofers. Most of the clubs will be activating on Saturday and Sunday, so please share your activations to social media. They recommend including the following hashtags for your post: pound Erie Canal 200, pound Erie Canal Way, pound Parks on the Air. So please also send your experiences and results to K2EAG@ARRL.net. They would love to hear your experiences. The Monix Group is planning their September meeting to be held on September 20th at 6 p.m. at the Holscher Park at the Greater Cincinnati Northern Kentucky International Airport. They'll possibly also be checking out the observation area at CVG. This is all in the planning stage and is contingent on a number of factors, so stay tuned. On September 22nd at 7 p.m., the Amateur Radio Emergency Team and Northern Kentucky Training Team will be holding a presentation on the introduction of WinLink at the Bethesda Community Church, 989 East Mount Zion Road in Independence, Kentucky. If you'd like to attend the business portion of the meeting, that'll start at 5:30 p.m., but is optional. So if you'd like to just come for the training team session, just come on out at 7 p.m. If you'd like to come for the business meeting, come at 5:30. Everyone's welcome. On September 27th at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, right after the Paintsville Ham Fest, there'll be a Parks on the Air meetup at the Paintsville Lake State Park, US 1270. Time to get ready for the Simulated Emergency Test, or SET, on October 4th and 5th, where Aries and Emergency Communications Group demonstrate their abilities to provide communications to the served agencies. Time now for your group to start planning on their participation in the SET event. For more information, go to ARRL.org/simulated-emergency-test. The Ohio SET is scheduled for October 4th and will be based on a major solar flare hitting Earth, which knocks out the Ohio MARCS public safety communication system, as well as the cellular system. The Ohio SEC is asking for counties to send a SITREP message via voice, digital, or WinLink, and suggesting each county make their own plan for this event. This could include local repeaters, simplex, HF, voice, or digital. Is your county ready? The Cuyahoga Falls Amateur Radio Club will be conducting live online classes to get your technician class license. The class will be held via Zoom and run for 6 weeks from Sunday, October 5th through November 9th. Sessions are to be from 1:30 p.m. to 4 p.m. All ages are welcome. For more information and or to register, visit tiny.cc/BEAHAM. On October 11th, the Northern Kentucky Amateur Radio Club will be holding a Parks on the Air event at US 3779 Big Bone Lick State Historic Site from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. So if you're interested in POTA, or if you want to see what this radio thing is all about, come on out. Even if you don't have a ham radio license, we may be able to put you on the air with a control operator. It's lots of fun to play radio in the park. On Monday, October 20th at 7 p.m. at the Bethesda Community Church, 989 East Mount Zion Road in Independence, Kentucky, the Northern Kentucky Amateur Radio Club meeting will have a presentation on a beginner's guide to Mesh-tastic by David, KY4DM. So if you're interested in Mesh-tastic, come on out and learn what all this new form of communications is all about.
Repeater news.
Currently, the 6-meter repeater in Walton, Kentucky on 53.85 is experiencing a problem where it's not passing audio. KG4MVN is working on correcting this. Are you looking for the most up-to-date list of repeaters in the greater Cincinnati area? Well, I have an Excel spreadsheet where I've listed repeaters that are active in the area, separated by tabs for each band or mode, so you can easily look for just DMR repeaters or 2-meter analog repeaters and so on. The list includes 2 meters, 220, 440, 6 meters, D-Star, DMR, C4FM, P25, and some other classifications. Every time I update the file, I include the date and the file name so that you know you have the latest update. To download the file, go to the AB4WS Radio Show Facebook page and go to the file section and download the file. If you're not on Facebook, email me at ab4ws.radio@gmail.com and I can email you the latest file. If you see any errors, problems, additions, or corrections, email that information to ab4ws.radio@gmail.com.
Hamfest.
On September 27th is the Paintsville, Kentucky Hamfest at the Paintsville Recreation Center, 232 Preston Street in Paintsville, Kentucky. For more information, go to ky4arc.com. On September 28th is the 51st Annual Cleveland Hamfest and Computer Show at the Cuyahoga County Fairgrounds, 162 Eastland Road in Bree, Ohio. For more information, go to hac.org. October 4th is the DX Workshop Operating Specialty Convention from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Central Time in the Warren County Public Library, Bob Kirby Branch, 175 Iron Skillet Court in Bowling Green, Kentucky. Talk in on the 444.300 repeater with a PL tone of 179.9. For more information, visit wkdxa.org/events. October 4th is the Northwest Ohio Amateur Radio Club Hamfest at the New Hope Christian Center, 2240 Batty Road in Lima, Ohio. Talking on the 146.670 repeater with a 118.8 PL tone. October 11th is the Williams County Amateur Radio Association Hamfest at the Williams County Fairgrounds, 619 East Main Street in Montpelier, Ohio. Talking on the 146.82 repeater with a PL tone of 107.2. October 12th is the Ashland Trunk Fest at the Ashland County Fairgrounds, 1740 South Bainey Road in Ashland, Ohio. Talk in on the 147.105 repeater with a PL tone of 71.9. October 25th is the Hazard, Kentucky Hamfest at 1700 North Main Street in Hazard, Kentucky. For more information, contact Johnny, KY4JLB at JLB741@yahoo.com. On November 8th, the Grant Amateur Radio Club will once again hold the famous Georgetown Hamfest at the ABCAP building, 406 West Plum Street in Georgetown, Ohio. Lots of door prizes will be given away. An amateur radio exam session will be held by the Highland Amateur Radio Association. Talking on the 146.73 repeater with a PL tone of 162.2. For more information, contact Ken, KD8FKU at KD8FKU@gmail.com.
Are you looking to upgrade your license? Do you have someone else that's interested in the hobby? Here are some upcoming exam opportunities.
The Milford Amateur Radio Club holds amateur radio testing on the third Thursday of each month at 6 p.m. at the Miami Township Civic Center, 6101 Meyer Drive in Milford, Ohio. Please pre-register at milfordhamradio.org. The Dayton Amateur Radio Association has exams frequently. For their exam schedule, email exams.w8bi@gmail.com. On September 20th, the American Legion Post 42 in Bardstown, Kentucky will hold an amateur radio exam session at 9 a.m. You must pre-register by contacting Paul, NC9W, at paul.kiener@gmail.com. On September 21st, the Geauga Amateur Radio Association will be holding an amateur radio exam session at 2 p.m. at the Geauga County Emergency Management, EOC, 12518 Merritt Road in Chardon, Ohio. Walk-ins are okay. For more information, email n8jmw2@gmail.com or call 440-228-2716. On September 28th at 11:30 a.m., there'll be an amateur radio testing session at the Cleveland, Ohio Hamfest, Cuyahoga County Fairgrounds, 160 Eastland Road in Bree, Ohio. Walk-ins are okay, and for more information, email hamfestve@k8md.com. On October 2nd, the Laughlin Valley Amateur Radio Club will hold an amateur radio exam session at the Dearborn County Emergency Management Office, 401 West High Street in Lawrenceburg, Indiana. Register at hamstudy.org/sessions. For more information, email Dan at ke9aks@lvarc.net. On October the 9th, the DeForest Amateur Radio Club will hold an amateur radio exam session at 6 p.m. at the Adams County Emergency Management Office, 31 Logan's Lane in West Union, Ohio. Please pre-register by emailing k8weh@k8weh@awrl.net or on the k8ge.net website. On October 11th at 10 a.m., the Scott County Amateur Radio Club will host an amateur radio testing session at the Georgetown Police Department, Georgetown, Kentucky. On October 20th at 5:30 p.m., the Northern Kentucky Amateur Radio Club will hold an amateur radio exam session at the Bethesda Community Church, 989 East Mount Zion Road in Independence, Kentucky. You must register by going to hamstudy.org/sessions/nky-ve. On October 25th at 10 a.m., the Wilderness Road Amateur Radio Club will host an amateur radio exam session at the American Legion Post 46 in Danville, Kentucky. On October 28th at 6 p.m., the K4TG VE team will host an amateur radio exam session at the Anderson County Extension Building. Use the rear entrance in Lawrenceburg, Kentucky. On November the 8th at 10 a.m., the Bluegrass Amateur Radio Society will host an amateur radio exam session at the Red Cross Building in Lexington, Kentucky. On November 17th at 5:30 p.m., the Northern Kentucky Amateur Radio Club will hold an amateur radio exam session at the Bethesda Community Church, 989 East Mount Zion Road in Independence, Kentucky. You must register by going to hamstudy.org/sessions/nky-ve. On December 11th, the DeForest Amateur Radio Club will hold an amateur radio exam session at 6 p.m. at the Adams County Emergency Management Office, 31 Logans Lane in West Union, Ohio. Please pre-register by emailing K8WEH at K8WEH@ARRL.net or on the KHGE.net website. On December 13th, the Scott County Amateur Radio Club will hold an amateur radio testing session at the Georgetown Police Department in Georgetown, Kentucky. Special thanks to this week's content contributors: WB8VNH, KY6MM, AC8MA, KY4GW, WB8YYS, KD8ZLD, K9HIO, N8LAR, K4NKU.
If you have something you think other amateur radio operators in the area would be interested in, send the information or your recorded audio file attached in an email to ab4ws.radio@gmail.com.
Covering your amateur radio news and information in the greater Cincinnati, Ohio, Kentucky, and Indiana tri-state area, this is Jack Prindle, AB4WS in Big Bone, Kentucky.